Hello, my name is Alexis Kelly, and the book I decided to do my project on is Mindhunter by John Douglas. This book is about forensic psychology, criminology, and the process of criminal profiling. The primary author is John Douglas, who is known as the founding father of criminal profiling. He worked in the FBI for 25 years and created the Behavioral Analysis Unit. Along with the Behavioral Analysis Unit, he coined the term unsub, which I'll talk about later on, and then he's also wrote 37 books, which have been translated into a few different languages. The second author of this book is Mark Olshaker, who is known for his work with Douglas. He wasn't a forensic psychologist himself or a forensic scientist, although he has worked with other forensic scientists in the past. His most recent book was on the pandemic. This book talks a lot about criminal profiling, and what criminal profiling is it's creating a list of personality traits and behaviors that will likely be present in the individual that you're looking for. It goes past traditional stereotyping and instead studies the psychology of behind why somebody becomes a criminal, like the whys, the hows, the reasonings, and they look at these traits and look for warning signs to either catch the criminal or to prevent the crime from happening in the first place. There's a lot of different terminologies that you need to understand in this book, so these are just a few of them, which is the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, which is just the Federal Law Enforcement Agency. There's the Behavioral Analysis Unit, or the BAU, which uses psychological criminal profiling to determine the traits of an unsub and assist in criminal investigations. Behavioral traits on its own, which is the aspect of a person's personality that is a product of their environment, speech pattern, interactions, and interest. And then, like I said earlier, I was going to talk about an unsub. So just an unsub is an unknown subject in a criminal investigation. You also need to know what forensic psychology is, which is the practice of psychology applied to law. Not sure why I didn't have that on there sooner. Sorry. And then criminology, which is the scientific study of crime and criminal behavior. So who do I think would benefit from reading this book is future and present law enforcement officers. I think that it's important for both future and present enforcement officers to read it so that they can go into the field with an understanding and then also continue understanding how to better work with the people and suspects and criminals that they're working with, so that they know how to interact with them, who they should be looking for, what paths to go down, what paths not to go down. And then those interested in criminology and forensic psychology obviously should read it because that's what it's about. And then also true crime fans will probably benefit some. Probably not as much as those interested in criminology and forensic psych, because true crime is usually just like the anthropology, homicides, and this does talk about murders, but it's more about the process of creating the Behavioral Analysis Unit. I think that it's important because he discusses how he created the BAU and his field of research, and it gives, it's motivational because he shares his struggle with mental health, which isn't talked about a lot in police agencies. He talks about how he was so sick mentally that he became physically ill and was in a coma and had to spend a month in the hospital, and when he went home they had a big party for him, but he was still depressed over Christmas, and it took him a while to be able to go back to work. He wasn't even sure if he could, but he did end up going back to work eventually and continued what he was doing. So it shows not only that officers do have mental health struggles, but that they can overcome them and that it's okay to ask for help. I care about this because I wanted to read this on my own other than the ones that are on the list, because forensic psych and criminology is something that interests me more than like anthropology would, or like bugs or blood or whatever like that. I'm interested in forensic psych and criminology mostly because of my mom, but I think that while reading this I thought that like this is what I wanted to do. Like what he was doing was really cool, how he was talking about the criminals, what he was doing with them, how he explained them, or explain the process of understanding them or trying to understand them. That was really cool to me. And then this is a picture of me when I went to DC for my high school graduation. I really like DC. I like to live there. And then my closing thoughts were that the book was well formatted and it was easy to read. The information provided was very informational. It had a lot of text, but there was also images to help break up some of the text. The only complaint that I have is that the images were like grainy. I think that's the right word. I think they weren't very clear, and they were all in one spot instead of throughout them, like where they should be in the story. And then some of it wasn't necessarily linear. It was just case to case, but not necessarily life events, if that makes sense at all. But then there's another issue is that there's also a show, so people would probably be more likely to read the show or to watch the show before they would read the book. But I do think that it's important to read the book first so that you understand the history going into it. But I would also suggest a show. I'm only a few episodes in, but I think it's really cool. The characters don't have the same name as the actual people, but it is like the same storyline, and they like go through and meet with the criminals that like they do as well. He gets sick. The other man has problems with his mental health as well, but he doesn't talk about it. So Holden does talk about it, and then Jack doesn't, and it just shows the differences with that. But yeah, that's it. So those are my references for the paper, and then my references for my images. Thank you.